Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt uncomfortable with how someone treated you and you stayed quiet anyways? Not that you agreed or it was okay the way they treated you, but explaining yourself felt like too much work. You know, that moment right there, that's usually where it starts. Not loud, not dramatic, just quietly. See, self respect doesn't disappear all at once, it fades in small negotiations you make with yourself. You explain someone's behavior instead of naming how it affected you. Fine, when clearly it isn't, and you knew it. At first, it feels harmless. You tell yourself you are being matured. You tell yourself you are choosing peace. But over time, something shifts. You start needing permission to feel certain things. You start doubting reactions that used to be instinctive. You start asking yourself, am I being too much? Instead of, why am I being uncomfortable? And slowly, the standards move. Here's the part you wouldn't want to admit. When standards fade, it doesn't feel like weakness. When self respect fades, you assume it for patience instead of weakness. And that's what it is. Sometimes it looks like being understanding, being the bigger person over and over again. You stop trusting your own boundaries. You stop correcting smaller things, which allowed bigger things to happen. You started tolerating situations you would have walked away from years ago. And the most dangerous part, you get used to it. You don't feel angry anymore, you just feel tired. This isn't about relationships. It shows up at work when you keep taking on things that drain you and don't say a thing. It shows up in friendships where you are always adjusting, always understanding, always waiting. It shows up in families where certain behaviors are just how they are and you learn to stay with it. You don't speak about it, you don't complain, you just fit in, adapted. And adaptation, when it costs you clarity, it's not growth, it's erosion. Most people think losing self-respect happens when someone crosses a big line. That's not true. It usually happens when you cross your own line for the first time and don't go back to fix it. When you tell yourself, I will let this one slide, then another, until one day you look closely at yourself and you feel distant from it. Not because something terrible happened, but because you have been distanced from your own decisions for too long. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I mean, that's not the point of this space. I just want you to notice something. Pay attention to the moments when you silence yourself. Not out of wisdom, but out of exhaustion. Notice when keeping the peace costs you presence. Notice when you feel relief instead of honesty. Those moments matter. They are informations. Nothing needs to be fixed today. Just notice, okay? Notice. Because awareness is usually where self respect quietly begins to return. So notice. Without noise, without announcement, without forcing anything, just notice. Okay? And if this space helps you to notice even one thing that you have been overlooking, then this space is for you.